Hi guys, welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we want to make a couple of changes to our UI to make it look good. So over here in the main dot storyboard on our main tab bar controller, I noticed that we don't have any content within the home tab as well as the settings itself. So what I'm going to do is to add a large title over here. And what I'm going to do is to come over to the settings view controller, and I'm going to remove this gray color. Alright, so I can just remove setup views. And instead what I'm going to do is to actually set up the navigation bar. Alright, so let's create a private func, set up the navigation bar, and I will do self.title equals to settings. Okay, again, this is not the best practice, so we have already the constant file, so let's just use that. Okay, so let's go with strut navigation title and static let. It's going to be settings equals to settings. Okay, so let's go back to the previous file and we can do k dot navigation title dot settings. Alright, so when I run this right now, let's have a look what this shows up on the simulator. Alright guys, because I have set the is user logged in to be false, that's why it's always coming to the onboarding page. So if I can come over to the loading view controller and set this to true, every time I open the simulator and I run the app, it will actually direct me to the main tab bar controller. Alright, if I come over here to settings, I see that we have the settings title, which is what we want, but we want to have the large title instead. So what we can do is that let's come over to app delegate, and under this did finish launching with options, we can create a private function over here. So sorry, let's call this setup global views, maybe setup global views, and let's create a private function just at the bottom of here, func private setup global views. And what we want to do is that we want to set all the navigation titles to be large. So we can type in UI navigation bar dot appearance dot prefer large. Do we have it? Prefer large titles. Prefer large titles equals to true. Okay, I think we can do it this way. Let's remove the two spaces over here. And let me just quickly run the project. Alright, so it looks like there is a small little error over here. Has no member UI navigation bar. Let me have a look over here. Okay, this is the one that I have. Is this the correct one? Oh, I think maybe I misspelled it. There has to be a S over here. Alright, let me just run this again. Okay, so now we have the large title settings. So let's do the same also for the home page as well. So let's come over to controller, let's create a new file, and let's select a Swift file. Let's name this as home view controller. Okay, let's import UI kit class. This will be the home view controller. Oops. And this inherits UI view controller. View did load, super.view did load, set up navigation bar. This will be a private function, and self.title equals to home. Okay, oops, again, let's come over to constants and let's create the home constant, home. Okay, and let's just replace that in here. So it'll be k dot navigation title dot home. Alright guys, so let's not forget to also integrate this with the view. Let's copy this home view controller and let's come over to the main.storyboard and let's scroll to the top, and under this here we want to come to the identity inspector and let's just paste in home view controller and hit the enter button. Alright, so I believe this will not show, okay, I think this will not show the home title, and I think the reason is because we have not integrated a navigation controller. See? Yeah, so we won't be able to see the home title over here. So the way to fix this is to embed this view controller with a navigation controller, and the way to do it is to select this view controller, come over to the top of the menu. You can't really see it, but if you see there's a editor, okay, next to navigate, and between navigate and product, okay, the menu item, scroll down to embed in and select the navigation controller. And when that is done, you see that a navigation controller has been will embed with the home view controller. All right, so it's pretty much the same thing that we have over here for the home and the settings. Okay, right now when I play and I run the simulator, I believe I should be able to see the home title. All right, so I have the home title here, I have the settings title here, and as usual, I can perform the logout as well. All right, guys, so maybe let me just quickly browse through all the files that we've created to see if there are any more areas of improvement we can do. So come over to the slide. The slide looks good to me. The collection view cell, it's okay. Presenter cell, I think this is fine. Okay. Helper, this is good. Constants, I think maybe I want to change this over here because I want to keep this consistent. Show onboarding and show onboarding screen. I think this might create some kind of ambiguity or confusion. So I'm just going to right click and refactor this, and I'm just going to remove screen. All right, guys, anyway, this step is really optional, and I'm doing this because I think that this allows us to keep our code a lot neater and a lot more maintainable, and especially if we are working with other colleagues on an app, these principles are really helpful. All right, guys, let's come to the loading view controller. I think this is fine. Under the settings, this looks good as well. Onboarding view controller, this is quite a big bunch over here. From what I see, this looks all right. Over here, guys, this is something that I would change. So as I mentioned previously, I would rather not use an exclamation mark over here. So how can I refactor this? I'm gonna use a guard statement. Guard let cell. Okay, maybe I'll just put this in here instead. Guard let cell, and I'm gonna change the exclamation mark to the question mark. Else return UI collection view cell. Alright, guys, so I'm going to refactor this instead. So what this means is that I'm going to check if I can cast this as an onboarding collection view. Otherwise, I will return an empty cell. And this is especially helpful because it ensures that your app will not crash. The worst case scenario is that it's just going to return an empty view, and it's better than the app crashing if for some reason you spell this wrongly. Yep, and speaking of this, I think we should also change this since we already have the constant file here. So let's call this strut reuse identifier, and this belongs to what? This belongs to the onboarding collection view cell. All right, so let's call this cell ID. Okay, so let's come back here and we do k dot reuse identifier dot onboarding collection view cell. Okay, because this is what it is. And okay, I think this is fine. This is fine. This is fine. All right, looks good to me here. Let's come to the login view controller. All right, I think maybe some things that I want to do over here. So when view did appear happens, I want to be able to select the first text field. I want to show the keyboard, and it should be in focus. Okay, so currently right now, if you click on the get started, nothing is happening. All right, let me dismiss this and let me click this again. Nothing is really happening over here. So what I want to do is that the moment this page is being loaded, I want the keyboard to slide up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in, let's see, email text field dot becomes first responder. All right, so let me just quickly run this. Okay, so let me log out first. And let me click the Get Started button. And notice that the keyboard will pop in when this page is loaded. So this is a kind of a good animation. This is a kind of good flow where it prepares the user to start typing in his email. All right, I noticed one more thing as well. As you type on the keyboard, it doesn't mask the characters, and password is pretty sensitive. We want to mask it. So there are two ways that we can do it. We can do it in code, or we can do it on the storyboard. I think let's do it on the storyboard. Let's click on the main.storyboard and let's come over to the password, and under the property inspector, let's just select this as secure text entry, and let's also do that for the password confirmation text view, secure text entry. And under the email text field, under the content type, I think I can select email address. And under the keyboard type, I can also select email. So what this does is that it gives okay, so if you look at it currently right now, this keyboard doesn't really give me the add button over here. But when I set this to be of type email address, I believe it should show that. So let me see what else I can do over here. Keyboard type, does it say its password here? No. I think it's, let me see. Okay, password. All right, and password confirmation, content type, I'll just put it as password. Okay, let me just run this very quickly. Alright, so as you can see, this keyboard has the add over here, so it's helpful. The user doesn't have to press the shift button to get this character out. And when it comes to the password, I think when he types in, we have the auto mask as well, so I think that is helpful as well. Yeah, so for the sign up button, I think the behavior is going to persist. Okay. Alright guys, we didn't really touch on the sign up button because there's really nothing much to talk about over here. The gist of this tutorial is really to show you the whole onboarding process and the flow. Okay, as well as the forget password, there's nothing much to really talk about it over here as well. But probably what's going to happen is that when you click on the forget password, you're either going to show a new view, or you're going to show some kind of alert controller where it asks the user to input his email address, for instance. Alright guys, let's continue and see what else we can fix, if there is anything else. There was a logged in, forget password, so I'm just going to close this space over here. And alright guys, I think that's pretty much it guys. Let's run the project one final time to ensure that it is running okay. Okay, I'm here on my main tab bar controller. Let me just log out. As I move the collection view cell, the text is changing. Hit the get started button. All right, I can type in the email. All right, the password is looking good. Signing up is looking fine as well. All right, hit the login button. It brings me back to the main part of the app. All right, guys, this is the end of the tutorial series, and I thank you so much for joining me. And I hope that you greatly benefited from this, not just coding, but in terms of code practices as well, and in terms of how I approach the subject. If you have any questions, there is a Q&A section where you can just leave me your questions, and I'll do my best to answer you. Alright guys, I wish you guys all the best in your career as an iOS developer, and if you are learning for the first time, I encourage you to keep learning and never give up. Alright guys, that's all for me, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.